Look at us in matching Justice shirts. We are so cute together.
It's all about justice, Steph, all about the justice.
Well, you know, our friend Harry Littman agrees. He said those who say DOJ hasn't delivered on the most serious charges have to be quieted today. Seditious conspiracy is about as serious as it gets. Tell me more, Glenn Kirschner.
And none of us knew this was coming. So what should that tell us, Steph? That there is more to come that we know nothing about. I have said all along, have I been frustrated? You're darn right I've been frustrated. But I've said all along, I cannot conceive of the Department of Justice not fully investigating everything from bottom to top. They're doing just that. Now, they're working their way out with criminal charges. Now, I believe they will start working their way up with criminal charges as well.
Well, you said Steve Bannon will be well advised to keep an eye out for his superseding indictment because it is surely coming. Tell us what that means.
So isn't it interesting that when you read this 48-page indictment signed by the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Matt Graves, one of my former colleagues who's only been in the job a little more than 2 months, that's I think, an important benchmark. Remember how Steve Bannon said, it will be swift, it will be moving, it will be like nothing you've ever seen before? You know what? Bannon could have been reading from this indictment. And don't tell me there isn't some synergy and perhaps some communication that was going on between the Oath Keepers, what they were plotting and planning. And Steph, when you read this indictment, they were plotting and planning and conspiring since November 7th, just a few days after Trump lost the election. They put their plans in place. They had a whole arsenal of weapons right across the river in Virginia, ready to be deployed. And they continue to plot and plan well after January 6th. When you read this indictment, it sure sounds like Bannon knew chapter and verse what was going on and what was going to happen on January 6th. So keep your eye on Bannon and the possibility of a superseding indictment.
What about Roger Stone?
Well, you know, weren't the Oath Keepers some of his bodyguards?
Sure.
I mean, who needs to guard that body? But seriously, yeah, that's the best I got this morning. That's my bit.
They need to guard his Dick Nixon tattoo.
Yes, that's it.
No, but are you telling me that there wasn't some sort of communication, some exchange between the Oath Keepers as they were preparing and ultimately carrying out their attack and Roger Stone? Come on, what are we, foolish?
Yeah. Well, Aaron Parnas, who you know as well, prosecutor, said one key point in the seditious conspiracy indictment today, it refers to several unindicted co-conspirators. So I expect more indictments to be coming. Who does that refer to, do you think, in particular?
I don't think we know.
Okay.
Who that refers to. But here's what's important, I think, about this superseding indictment, adding one of the most serious charges they could add: seditious conspiracy, the attempted violent overthrow of the U.S. government. There were already 4 Oath Keepers that were that had flipped, that were assisting the FBI and the prosecutors in this investigation. That undoubtedly is part of what produced yesterday's indictment. This new indictment will probably inspire more flipping. And you know, one of the things that I was
just going to say, someone said these guys are facing 20 years in prison. They've already Stuart Rhodes has already gone on record saying he's pissed at Trump and feels abandoned. I mean, you know, I think he'd flip like a pancake on Roger Stone. I mean, Tristan Snell said seditious conspiracy. Those are 2 words you're about to see a lot of this year, and they'll be printed on the indictments of a lot of very prominent people. So it sounds like you agree.
I do agree. And what I love is, you know, there's a lot of talk about how these guys and women, there were, you know, members of the Oath Keepers that participated in the attack on the Capitol who were women who have been indicted as part of this new conspiracy. They all talk about how we're on encrypted apps. So, you know, basically nobody can get at our communications. Well, you know, encrypted apps work great until one of the parties to the communications flips. And now, you know, they're going to know everything that was going on the encrypted apps. And, you know, why wouldn't Rhodes be pissed at Donald Trump? Look at the details in this indictment. This was a Donald Trump production. These crimes were motivated, they were inspired, they were incited. I would argue they were orchestrated in part by Donald Trump. Because why did they pick January 6th to come to the Capitol? Donald Trump said, come to D.C. on January 6th, will be wild. In fact, one of their communications channels was called stop the steal. J6, where did they get that?
Yeah.
They got it from Donald Trump. They talked about how Mike Pence is weak. Mike Pence didn't come through for us. Remember what Donald Trump tweeted? Quote, Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what he should have done to protect our company. Everything we see in this indictment was motivated, was inspired, was incited by Donald Trump. Why wouldn't they be angry at Donald Trump at this point?
Well, let me get your reaction to one last tweet here about this. Caroline says, oh, wow, there's a whole section in the indictment of Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes that describes ongoing plans for violence, i.e. January 6th was not the end by any means. On the evening of 1/6, Rhodes said a message saying, you ain't seen nothing yet. Which is what our friend Malcolm Nance's whole book is about, and what he's been telling us forever, that they want to kill Americans. Is there anything legally about ongoing plots for violence? I mean, did you pick that up too?
Yeah, well, look at the very end of that 48-page indictment. One of the last facts related is that they said if Joe Biden is sworn in on January 20th, there will be a civil war 2.0. So it's good that the Department of Justice decided to take the Oath Keepers down so they couldn't sort of, move forward on their plans for Civil War 2.0. But yeah, this is an important indictment, but I think it's just the beginning of a series of important indictments.
Yep. So, our friend Lawrence Tribe tweeted today the Michigan AG because you were talking about a larger conspiracy. The Michigan AG criminally referred to the U.S. Attorney for Michigan, the fake electors who forged electoral certificates as part of an apparent 5-state conspiracy, at least 5 that we know, to defraud the United States with respect to the 2020 election. The AG is bound to weigh in now. Well, I would hope all the other states are also making criminal referrals, but the Michigan AG last night, I don't know if you saw her, Glenn, but certainly said this is for federal. I mean, hopefully Merrick Garland will move on this too, because this is clearly a larger. They had the same template for every state, so clearly this was once again directed by above, right?
DOJ will move on this, and the only remaining question in my mind is whether this can be charged as one large overarching conspiracy or a series of conspiracies, because, Steph, remember, this is still on the bottom rung of the criminal ladder, this seditious conspiracy indictment for these Oath Keepers. And the next move has got to be moving up to the middle level, moving up to the people who incited the insurrection, Don Jr., Mo Brooks, Rudy Giuliani, moving up to the seditious and treasonous lawyers like Jeffrey Clark and John Eastman, who were, generating memos and legal briefs about how to overturn Joe Biden's win.
Yeah.
So, and the slates of false electors also play into that. So really, what I'll be interested in is, will the Department of Justice ultimately treat this as one large overarching conspiracy or a series of different conspiracies?
And they helpfully videotape themselves, apparently, signing the fake, which is, I don't know, as a prosecutor, you would call that helpful, I would imagine.
Yeah, if you're going to forge false election documents, you might as well not turn on the video camera, but what do I know?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just a prosecutor.